Namaskar viewers, hello and welcome to Sunset TV. I am Tina Jha, you're watching Perspective. So with the second phase of polling having concluded in Gujarat on Monday, the election process in the state, along with that of Himachal Pradesh, drew to a close. All eyes are now on the results, which will be declared on Thursday, that is the 8th of December. So will the BJP be able to retain both these states? So if exit polls are to be believed, then it's the BJP all the way in Gujarat as well as in Himachal Pradesh. A majority of pollsters predict a clear majority for the incumbent party in both these states, which means a seventh term in Gujarat for the BJP and a second consecutive term for the party in Himachal Pradesh. However, there also seems to be an outlier. The Axis My India poll predicts a Congress government in Himachal Pradesh. Some others also indicate a close fight between the two rivals. So which of these polls will hold true is something that we'll know on Thursday. But how close are these numbers to what experts on our panel believe? Let me open the discussion with our panelists tonight. Pleased to welcome in the studio Mr. Sandeep Phukan, senior journalist. Some other senior journalists will also be joining us in the course of the program. But Mr. Phukan, let me begin the program today with you. In fact, let's focus on Himachal first because that seems to be pretty interesting in terms of the political analysis. A tough contest, at least in the hill state. Which one of these exit polls do you think is the closest to what your predictions would be about Himachal?
Well, I think if you look at the general trend of all polls, I think what it clearly shows that it is going to be a very close contest. Now, that's pretty much bad news for the Congress party because Himachal has had for over 3 decades now, they've had a situation where every 5 years the government alternates between the BJP and the Congress. So, given the fact that the BJP is in power, the Congress was hoping that it's their turn now. But that hasn't, that doesn't look like, even if that happens, as you said, that there's one exit poll that has predicted a slightly clearer picture for the Congress.
Yes.
Most others have given them neck and neck. Now, in a neck and neck situation, if there are more rebels, and we know that there are more rebels from the BJP, if it's a matter of a few MLAs, I think BJP should be able to, get them over and form the government. So, if that is the case, then it's bad news for the Congress because then they do not have a clear majority. And in a sort of photo finish kind of a situation, it's always the ruling party that stands at an advantage. Having said this, we also know that exit polls get it completely wrong. Yes. I was speaking to a senior journalist from the state just yesterday, and he seemed very confident. This time the slogan by the BJP was that Sarkar nahi riwaz badalna hai. So we'll have to change the tradition of changing every 5 years and we will retain power. Now, if these exit polls come true and they form and they get to repeat a term, even if by a slim majority, then they would have changed the riwaz, they would have changed the tradition. But as I said that I was speaking to a senior journalist and he seemed fairly confident that riwaz barkarar rehne wala hai, and perhaps the Congress is at an advantage. But I was going through all the exit polls. I think only one exit poll gave a halfway mark to the Congress, 34 to 40, I think. This was Axis, if I'm wrong.
India, yes.
So others gave a very close call. So what it means is that it is not going to be easy for the Congress. It means that it is going to be a very, very close contest. And we've seen this, by the way, happen. And I think in one of your previous programs, I had said this as well, that in Uttarakhand was another state that used to alternate between the Congress and the BJP. But we saw what happened. BJP actually had too many problems in that state. They had to change their chief minister thrice.
Certainly, at least that has not happened in Himachal.
Yeah, and in that particular context, if you recall, Mr. Dhami, who eventually won a by-election and became chief minister, but he had lost his election. But it was the prime minister's popularity and his extensive campaigning in the state that helped the BJP actually, surpass all the records and come back to power and also change that tradition of the state alternating between these two parties every 5 years. Are we going to see that in Himachal? I don't know. But exit polls tend to indicate that it's going to be a much closer fight than what most others had predicted.
Certainly. So what the other panelists also think about Himachal Pradesh, let me go across to other guests who are joining us virtually on the program. Mr. Praful Ketkar, he's editor, organizer. Mr. Shyam Parekh, senior journalist, he joins us from Ahmedabad. And Ms. Archana Phul, she's senior journalist, she joins us from Himachal Pradesh. In fact, since we are speaking about Himachal Pradesh, Ms. Archana, let me come to you first. So Mr. Fukan suggests that, perhaps what the BJP was hoping that Sarkar nahi riwaj badlega, that could hold true given the exit poll numbers that have come in. So barring Axis Ma India, all the others gave a clear edge to the BJP. What is your reading? Will the BJP be able to buck the trend of alternate governments in the hill state?
BJP is more confident this time because they saw Uttarakhand. Like they repeated in Uttarakhand and they are thinking that we'll do the same in Himachal. And these exit polls, like I just went into the data for one opinion poll, I would say. So they had just, like out of 55 lakh voters, they had contacted 2,850 voters in 30 constituencies and they declared that opinion poll is in favor of BJP. So I really don't know about these exit polls, that what sample size they have, because we have seen that the exit polls in Punjab, they were proved wrong when AAP came with a massive mandate. So in Himachal, like it is true that BJP like tried to circumvent the issues, like the anti-incumbency was, it weighs heavy on the minds of people every time. But BJP this time tried to circumvent that issue with the central leadership and central issues. And on the other hand, Congress, it tried to grab the local issues, which have always proved that the people of Himachal Pradesh, they vote more on local issues. Like when we had Lok Sabha and Assembly elections together few years ago, that time also the people in the Assembly constituency, they had voted for one party in the Assembly and the other party in the for the Lok Sabha election. So people in Himachal Pradesh are very, very politically mature, and the kind of voting percentage we saw in Himachal, I don't think it will be a very close contest, although there are so many rebels in the field. So the contest in some constituencies is actually going to be very close, like the margins will be very less.
In fact, if we go by the numbers also, the exit polls also indicate that the other factor could play an important role. So that's something that I'll come back to you in just a minute. But let me bring in Mr. Ketkar into the discussion. Mr. Ketkar, forget anti-incumbency. It seems pro-incumbency in both these states have been at play majorly. So while it seems to be a tougher contest, largely, but also in favor of the BJP, Gujarat is going the BJP completely in all of these pollsters that we've seen this evening. What do you think has worked the best for BJP? Is it the Modi charisma still at work, or are there local issues that have helped the BJP, if exit polls are to be believed, that they are coming to power?
So in a way, these two elections are totally different. Assembly elections are anyway different. And if there is any common factor in both these elections, it is Modi and central government's performance and goodwill. But I'll first come to Himachal. I don't go by the seats right now, and everybody knew even before the exit poll came into picture that it is going to be a very close contest. What is another common factor in both these elections is actually Congress is losing any which way, because Congress centrally hasn't played any role. Both these elections, Congress tried to play very, very local. This was a particular strategy. In fact, if you take out this last phase where Mr. Mallikarjun Kharge and all these people brought in this Chaiwala and Ravan debate against Prime Minister Modi, I have visited Gujarat and I have seen it was a very localized campaign by Congress candidates. And they were in fact saying, forget about Gandhi family, forget about Congress, we are there. So it was the strategy. I believe that Congress was playing smartly. But if I go by the vote percent, especially if you are talking about Himachal, why I take this as a close contest? Simply because if you see last few elections, when there is a mandate, there is at least 5 to 7% swing against the incumbent government. That trend definitely is not showing anywhere. And that's why you are seeing this 44, 43, 44, 42 kind of variation in vote percent. I think that is the thing that matter the most when we are talking about the possible formation of the government. I believe that BJP has, created in the last phase, especially when it started talking about UCC and national issues. BJP somewhere galvanized, and how far and Congress comparatively failed to address those issues. How far BJP is able to minimize the rebel factor, that is going to decide the Himachal outcome. That is my thing. As far as Gujarat is concerned, uh, 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 as per the exit polls, also it is a given thing that BJP is winning. How far and what is going to be the margin, that is going to be the interesting.
Absolutely. I think all of these numbers that suggest while there's going to be a clear majority, Mr. Parekh, for the BJP as per all of the exit polls, it's I think all about the numbers as to by how much can the BJP better its 2017 performance. And while Access My India doesn't give an absolute majority to the BJP in Himachal, it actually indicates that BJP could be on way to registering its biggest victory margin ever in Gujarat. Is that what was anticipated? We did speak earlier on the program as well about the outcome, but did you expect this kind of exit poll data?
Yeah, hi. Yeah, it's very interesting to see the exit poll results for Gujarat because they're all talking about minimum 115 seats for BJP, and some of them go up to 127 and even more. There's one specific which talks about 135, 140.
In fact, Access My India gives the upper band at 151.
Yeah, lower is this. So mean is minimum 115 is what it comes to and goes up to 140. So it's an open range somewhere in between. Everybody is giving lower seats to Congress and everybody is giving under 10 seats to AAP. The higher end is 21, yeah, you can see that. So it is more or less on expected lines. See, if you look at Gujarat's election history, every time we have seen that unless people want to punish the incumbent ruling party, they don't turn out in very large numbers. And if you look at the polling percentage today, it has stayed around 58%, which is lower than the phase one. And it is definitely lower than the previous ones,
Yes.
which shows that people are not actively looking at punishing the ruling party, but they are kind of less connected because of anti-incumbency over the years, and there's no other driving force, which essentially means good news for the ruling party, that is BJP, and the party that definitely will have a challenge at grassroots, like what Kirkasab talked about. Congress is playing very smartly in all the constituencies. The challenge they will have to face is AAP finding its way into many places and cutting down their margin, which essentially means that BJP will be in a stronger position. And if you look at the overall tally, that's one of the major reasons for BJP to gain from. And so I think the AAP factor is going to be very decisive. And if you look at the number of seats, the indirect result is that BJP would have
Certainly, and
stood
I think
that.
you have a point here, Mr. Fukan. The fact that you've been in Gujarat, you've seen the kind of inroads that AAP has been making. They did manage to make a lot of noise. Of course, that will not reflect in the numbers if we go by the exit poll data. But what the Congress can draw solace from the fact that they still remain the second largest party. So, despite the noise, the AAP has not been able to displace them as the principal opposition party. But they could do what they did in Punjab. So, kind of settle down in the first election and then maybe win it big in the next time. So, do you think they managed well as far as testing waters is concerned?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even in your last program, I had said this, that, to be very honest, before I actually went to Gujarat, my impression was, and basically hearing senior journalists talking to them who are based in Gujarat, that AAP is more of a social media phenomenon than actually on the ground. But I traveled in the Saurashtra region and in the coastal belt, and on several seats they had made it into a three-cornered contest. There were many seats where the AAP was a strong contender. They were not a contender to win seats, But they were a
Make their
contender
presence
to,
felt.
yeah, I mean, they made their presence felt, and they were not just on social media. People talked about them, people considered voting for them. Now, in an assembly election where you have typically 2.5 lakh voters, a large constituency will have 2.5 to 2,60,000, 70,000 voters. If somebody takes away 20,000 or 30,000 votes, that's a lot of votes. So that's one. And I think the number that Mr. Parekh was talking about, I mean, I completely second that. I think from 77 in 2017, if Congress actually comes down, and I agree with Mr. Ketkar that Congress was playing very smartly until that Ravan statement came about. They were actually focusing on local issues. They were focusing on their local candidates, the local faces. For once, many senior journalists told me that they had got their even candidates right. But the point is that if they fare below 50, I mean, if their numbers are below 50, then what is clear is that a lot of the votes have shifted to the Aam Aadmi Party. I think I mentioned this also in the last program, that there is an element of fatigue, voter fatigue, in terms of Congress losing election after election. So some would just like to try out Aam Aadmi Party just like that.
Absolutely, you're right. And with comments against the Prime Minister, they, I think, make it the game quite, tilted towards the BJP itself. Because with the Prime Minister, at least he has an advantage of being the son of the soil. The Gujarati Asmita factor always helps him win elections, not just in Gujarat.
Yeah, sure. I mean, in the urban seats, for sure. I mean, I think we've discussed this earlier as well, that BJP that way they can spin a narrative in no time. So, which was one of the reasons why the Congress local candidates were saying, you keep away your central leaders, we'll deal at our level, at micro level. But of course, but then that strategy gave this impression that Congress had left, it was not fighting the election at all. It had left the space empty, or it created a vacuum which was taken up by the Aam Aadmi Party. So, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
But I think they still have a long way to go as far as winning elections are concerned. Ms. Archana Phul, coming back to you on two aspects. One, we are discussing the emergence of the Aam Aadmi Party. So while in Gujarat, they worked hard, they did make their presence felt. I remember in the initial days, they did try to make an impact as they did in Punjab, also in Himachal Pradesh, although later on the focus entirely shifted to Gujarat. So in the numbers also, it clearly reflects the Aam Aadmi Party seems to be negligible in Himachal Pradesh. But do you think the party at least did register itself before the voters? And the other aspect being of the rebel leaders. So the rebel factor was prominently talked about in case of Himachal Pradesh. What kind of dent do you think they could make to either of the parties, given that it's a close contest in Himachal?
The Aam Aadmi Party certainly made its presence felt initially, but then none of the rebels of BJP or Congress, none of the main rebels, they joined Aam Aadmi Party, and they had their list of candidates, the faces which are not very prominent, or they did not have any presence in political circles. So Aam Aadmi Party, I think they did not get any response from BJP or Congress rebels, and they certainly could not poach on the political faces in Himachal. It is a small state, and the face matters a lot. So Aam Aadmi Party did not have any face in Himachal, none of the constituencies. So I think they thought it proper to withdraw from Himachal, and basically Congress and BJP have been alternating, and there has been no space for third front in Himachal so far.
Okay, Mr. Parekh, so after the announcement of the exit polls, of course, the parties are quite confident that exit polls may turn wrong. But as far as Gujarat goes, all of the exit polls predicting that BJP may win, it seems quite likely that it's now just about the victory margin. Who do you think is the front runner for the chief ministership?
From what PM Modi and Gujarat BJP chief C.R. Patil have been talking about, even Amit Shah at occasions, is that they are not really looking at a change in the leadership. Mm-hmm. So the current Chief Minister, Bhupendra Patel, is likely to continue, but it all depends on the number of seats and what is the situation in which the government formation happens. So probably it's going to be a last minute thing. It will be difficult for anybody to, predict at this point. Particularly because this time equations are a little different. The vote has been always, Modi has been popular, but this time it clearly looks not like it's not BJP, it's Modi personally who's been connected to people, and that's the reason why there's been a vote, unlike 2017 when there was a different situation. So therefore, the selection of leader to lead the state is going to be a little different equation than in the past.
So the people of the state have chosen consistency. If that's what exit polls suggest, the leaders, the BJP, could also maintain consistency if they choose to go ahead with the, continue with the existing chief minister. Mr. Ketkar, what does it say about 2024? Just 2 years into the elections, does it strengthen BJP's position for the elections, for the general elections?
See, last time in Gujarat, Congress could give a fight almost neck to neck because there was a background of Patidar agitation. That seems to be, considerably subsided this time. The Saurashtra seats that, was talked about, around 20 seats and 6 around seats in Surat district, where AAP tried to cash around those sentiments, anti-BJP sentiments that was there last time. And there, AAP is going to gain a little bit of space, but I don't think it can translate into seats. This, mark, what BJP is going to get this time in Gujarat will definitely have an impact on 2024, simply because BJP has been, and Prime Minister Modi has been talking about Gujarat model and Gujarat election. Please remember, nobody except Communist Party in West Bengal could retain political power for 7 consecutive terms. So this is going to be a historic victory if exit polls are true. And in that sense, it will give a very fundamental, because, where did Congress lose? Congress lose the plot when Congress started losing Uttar Pradesh. When you have lost your passion, the Gandhi family, your leadership is losing the passion. There, Prime Minister Modi and Prime Minister Modi and Minister Amit Shah both are very particular about managing the affairs in the state. And if they are retaining this space with a higher majority, and maybe even 2/3 majority, then it will be a moral booster for BJP for 2024, and it will again force the opposition and especially Congress to think about their strategies.
What will it mean for the BJP and the Congress? Because going forth, even before 2024, Mr. Phukun, there are elections to other states as well, particularly Karnataka. Do you think, it sets the tone also for the assembly elections in several other states next year?
Any win is a moral booster, and any sort of loss will take away the momentum from the party. So quite clearly, take the example Gujarat. I think none of us on this panel ever had any doubt that BJP is going to win. I think the question was about the numbers, margin. Yeah. And frankly, I would be a little surprised if they get 130 or 127 plus, because from the looks of it, it seemed to me that they're going to comfortably win, but it may not be a record margin. But I think the surprise state would be Himachal. As Madam just said, that I told you before she came on the show, I told you that I was speaking to another senior journalist, a friend of mine from Himachal, and he seemed very confident that these exit polls are not correct. And he seemed confident that Congress is going to come to power. Now, if that happens, then they can at least have some consolation prize. But imagine if they lose, and BJP is able to change the tradition of the state electing a new government.
And also the fact that, when there's a neck-and-neck contest and the others are in the role of a kingmaker, they usually go to the party whichever is in power.
Especially at the center. So if that happens, then Congress will lose momentum, and it'll obviously it'll be a setback for them as they head into the next round of polls. Some of them are in the northeast, and in the middle of 2023 is the big Karnataka.
Absolutely. So
assembly.
even though the results, the exit polls at least show it's a BJP win in Gujarat and a tough contest in Himachal Pradesh as well, with a neck-and-neck contest. So let's see who actually makes it and forms the government in Himachal Pradesh. It will be interesting to watch out on the 8th of December. We will continue to broadcast live proceedings on the day as well, live results on that day, particularly coming in from both these states. So tune in to Sunset TV on the 8th of December as well on Thursday. For now, time is running out. I'll have to wind up the program. Thank you to all my panelists for joining me on this edition of the program and sharing your thoughts with us and our viewers. Thank you very much for your time. I'll see you same time tomorrow. Take care. Good night.